Hello everyone, I'm Morgan and today I'm here with multiple stacks of books to talk to you about the series I need to finish. I will only be talking about the series that I need to finish that have other books out as of now, because I am caught up with a few series. So yeah, these are books that I still have to read in part. And I will be making another video talking about series that I need to start, so look out for that. But yeah, first I wanted to talk about the middle grade and the YA series that I need to finish. The first one is Magnus Chase, and I have read the first two books, which are right here: Magnus Chase and the Sword of Summer, and Magnus Chase and the Hammer of Thor. And I still have yet to read the third book. I actually read these two more than a year ago, I think, and I really did enjoy them. I like Rick Riordan in general. I have read all the Percy Jackson books. I haven't read all the Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I actually have to finish that one as well, but I want to go back and just reread it completely because I don't remember enough. But this one, I just have the third book left to read, and I actually ordered it, so it should arrive very soon. The second series is The Dark Artifices, and I have read the first two books, Lord of Shadows and Lady Midnight, and I still have the last one, Queen of Air and Darkness, to read. These obviously are part of the Shadowhunter world, and I used to read books in this series since I was a kid. And I waited so long for every single book to come out that now that the last book has come out, well, technically there are other books in this world now, but this is the last one in this trilogy, and just in this arc, I think. And so I don't know, I've been waiting for it for so long, and now that it's here, I'm just kind of over it already, but I still want to read it, so like I will be getting to this one at some point. Next is the Illuminae Files by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. I have only read the first one, Illuminae, and I did really like it, but I read this one more than 2 years ago now, and I'm not sure I would enjoy it as much now. So I do want to reread this one and see if I still want to continue on with the series. Same with The Darkest Minds. I read the first book like 2 years ago. I did really enjoy it, but I didn't continue on with the series at the time, and now it's been some time, and I don't know, I did really like this book, so I want to get back into it and maybe continue on with the series. Then we have The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. I have read the first two books, Cinder and Scarlet, and I really liked these ones. I actually liked Cinder a bit more than Scarlet, but overall I like this world and I want to continue on with the series. I just didn't have the next books, and now I do. I actually ordered them again a few days ago. So they will arrive, but I actually wanted all of the books in this edition by Scurfish, and it doesn't exist anymore, so it's really hard to get my hands on them, but I did try to get the other books in this edition. But yeah, I will definitely be reading the next books in this series, and actually want to reread also this one before continuing on. And then we have The Raven Boys by Maggie Seawater, well, the Raven Quartet, yeah. So I have read The Raven Boys only as of now, but I do have the Dream Thieves, and I ordered the other books, the other two books, Blue, Little Blue, and The Raven King. So I will be reading those, but I already have these ones, so I want to reread this one and continue on. I really liked this story when I read it. I don't remember a lot from it, but I remember liking the main character, Blue, and just what was happening. It was a lot of fun. Then I want to talk about some adult fantasy series. So first I have the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. I have read the first two books, Royal Assassin and Assassin's Apprentice, and I still have yet to read Assassin's Quest. But I really loved the first two books. I love the main character Fitz. He's just my type of person, and I really want to read this one. Actually, I've been meaning to read it for like a year and a half, and I don't really know why I haven't read it, but I plan on it. But yeah, I'm really excited for this series, and I want to continue on in the realm of the Underlings series, because this is part of a bigger series, as you probably know. Then we have The Lord of the Rings, and I only own The Hobbit as of now, which is not really part of the trilogy, but whatever. But I have read the first two books in the Lord of the Rings trilogy and part of the third one. I actually tried reading them a few years ago as part of a bind-up that I took from the library, and I just made a mistake doing that because the writing of J.R.R. Tolkien is so descriptive that you get tired of it after some time, and so reading all of the books in one go was just too much for me, especially considering the only thing that I remembered from the movie was actually, well, the movies were the scene at the end of the third one when they get to Mordor, so like the end of the end. So I always knew what was going to happen, so that I wasn't reading for the story really. I was just reading to have read Lord of the Rings, and that's not exactly why you should read a book in my opinion. So yeah, this time I actually want to go back to these books separately and actually enjoy them maybe a bit more. So we'll see. Then I have an urban fantasy series, which is The Dresden Files by Jem Butcher. I only own the first two books as of now. I have read the first one, I really enjoyed it, and I still have yet to continue on with the series, as is a trend for me apparently. But yeah, it's a really fun series. I like the main character, and the way it's written is very fast-paced and fun, so it's a great time. Then I have the Kingkiller Chronicle with The Name of the Wind and The Wise Man's Sphere by Patrick Rothfuss. I did read the first one last year with Pauline from Dancing On, so it was really nice to buddy read this, and we plan actually on reading this one as well, so I'm looking forward to that. Next I have books in the Elric series, the first book being this one, Elric of Melanie Bonnet and Other Stories, and well, technically this is one of the first books in the Elric series, Elric the Fortress of the Pearl, and then we have that, and it's part of the bigger series called The Eternal Champion that has like 6 or 7 series in them. It's a huge series, and it's one of the staples of fantasy that people never talk about because it's so old and they have forgotten it, I think. But it's a really funny series, and I need to continue on with them. I had a friend who actually talked to me about them, and that's why I got into this series, and I'm glad he did. I really like those books. They're just pure fun. It's not amazing writing, I would say, but I do like the characters and just what goes on. It's nice, you know? And it's pure escapism, basically. Up next is Joanna's Cable by Jonathan L. Howard. I have read these first two books, and there are 4 or 5 out in this series, and in it we follow Johannes Cable, who is a necromancer, and it's just a lot of humor. He's very funny, and it's really nice. And this one, as it's called, The Detective, is a mystery, so not only do you have the fantasy elements, but it's also really funny, and I loved it. And I actually read the first, well, this one first, the second one, because I picked it up in a used bookstore and I didn't know that there were other books in the series, so I just started up with this one. I mean, I did see on Goodreads after I bought it that it was part of a series, but I was like, it's part of a mystery series, so probably it wouldn't matter. And indeed, I did understand most of what was going on. I mean, not really the beginning, and now I get a bit more. But the reason I haven't continued on with this series is that I do follow also Mara from Books Like Whoa. She has a great channel and she has read more of these books, and just like me, she adored the second book and didn't think that the other books were really that good. And so I'm just a bit on the fence about reading the other books if they're not going to be as good as this one. Because again, when I read the first one, it also wasn't as good as this one, so I don't know. And last is sci-fi. The first series is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I have read the first two books, Golden Sun and Red Rising, and I still have yet to read Morning Star. These are really fun, again, very fast-paced, and I like the main character to a point. I mean, he's a bit too arrogant for me sometimes, but overall I do enjoy this series, so I want to finish it. And last is another series that I have read the first two books, but I haven't read the third one, and I don't own it as of now, but it's coming. So it is the Passage trilogy, and the first two books are The 12 and The Passage, and it's basically a post-apocalyptic story about some vampires of some kind. They're not actually called vampires, it's an epidemic that turns them into something like vampires, but there's also some fantasy elements. I mean, they hear voices in their heads, but I think everything is explained scientifically, though it feels very much like fantasy sometimes, but whatever. I really did enjoy these books. Actually, the first one I thought was a bit too long, especially towards the middle, but the second one I thought was absolutely amazing, and it became one of my favorite books of all time. I was just blown away. We were introduced to some new characters in the second one, and I wasn't sure at first if I would like them, but in the end I thought it was a great choice that he did, and all these new characters really added to the story, and I just cannot wait to read the third one. So yeah, it's just a great series. And to finish this video, I actually have some series that I do not own and I still need to finish. So the first one is the Mercy Thompson series, which is an urban fantasy series following Mercy Thompson. I've been talking about this series a lot in my books I've read recently because I'm going through it in ebook formats basically, and I read a book every month or so. And currently I think I'm at the 5th book, and there are 11 or 12 I think in the series, whatever, and they're just really fun. It's about Mercy Thompson, who is a mechanic, and she is friends with werewolves, vampires, fays, all kinds of creatures, and there's always someone who wants to kill her, and it's a lot of fun, and I love Mercy Thompson. There's also a lot of sex scenes in it and stuff like that. It's just great. And then I have To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. I have read the first 2 books. I really liked the first one, didn't like the second one as much, which is why I haven't continued on so far. But I do want to read the last one, especially considering they're all going to be adapted on Netflix, I think, so I do want to have read the book before. But yeah, the first one I really did enjoy because I love the family aspect of things, and yeah, just the culture. It was really sweet. And the last series I want to mention is the Montag Siblings series by Mackenzie Lee. The first book being The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, and the second is The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy. I read the first one, I don't know, I think it was in 2018, 2017, maybe even before, I don't remember, but I know it was the first audiobook I ever listened to, and it was such a great audiobook. The narrator was amazing with his English accent, and I fell in love. But I haven't continued on with this series, partly because the books are actually more companion stories than sequels, because you follow other characters from the first book, and I do care about them, but not as much as I do about the main character in the Gentleman's Guide. So I don't know when I will get to this one, but I am curious to see what goes on. And there's actually a third book that is about to come out in this series. I think it's only going to be 3 books from what I've read, and it also follows another character from the first book. So I will see about that. But yeah, that's all for me. Thank you for watching. Please tell me if you have read any of these series and what you thought of them, as I would love to know. But yeah, I really want to finish all of these. I wouldn't say this year because I don't think I can do it, but at some point. And yeah, just they're really cool. So yeah, that's all for me. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you soon in another video. Goodbye. Dream I know, deep up my feelings.